Good afternoon. The article chosen for my video presentation is by Eva Allerby and Cecilia Firm by 2005. It's called Learning Music: Embodied Experience in the Life World by Philosophy of Music Education Review. Well, the first thing that is important here that the researchers do is to define life world experience or life world approach. According to Allerby and Firm, learning through life world approach means learning through experiences the learners have experienced in the world. That's how they learn. They live in the world. This is a process that leads to change, to create meaning, and make it possible to manage the world. How do we do that? Through experience. This is easily observed with young babies. They see something, they hear, they touch, they put it in their mouths, and they, tasty. Oh no, it hurts. That's how they make their meaning of the world around them. Yeah, by getting in contact with the world. The article is all built on questions and definitions, so stay with me. We're gonna go through those questions. So, a life world learning is learning through experience. Okay, but learning doesn't come out of nowhere and is not created out of vacuum. It's found in complex context. It's situated and is contextualized. Okay? So, now this poses a new question. The way we understand how music is learned is influenced by the way we see, our view of learning, but not only, also our view of music. Okay? So more questions. How music ability is regarded and whether musicality is accepted as an emotional or a cognitive phenomenon. That's really important because we're starting to get to questions like, is either this or either that, like dualism kind of stuff. But what about musicality? Is it possible to divide musicality into smaller parts, into sections or segments? And if that's the case, what is the relationship among these parts? Keep that in mind. Well, then Allerby and Firm referred to the good old debate on nature and nurture, biological or social influence on musicality. And here they use brainstorm definition on absolute versus relativistic musicality. Basically, the first approach states that music is native ability. So you either learn, you either born with it or you don't have it. Okay? So the other approach is the other way around. You can acquire, so you can learn it. Everybody can acquire it. Okay? So this is crucial here because we're gonna get there. So all these questions, they lead us to dualistic doubts and dualistic approach, whether it's emotional or cognitive, whether it's absolute or relativistic, nature or nurture. That's what is called dualistic approach. And we see how crucial this is to philosophy. Since rationalism or Plato and the Greeks, from Plato all the way to Lucy Green, is it body or mind, body or soul, emotional or rational, absolutist or referentialism, inherent or delineate. And here the research posed the main question of the article. Is music learning constituted within the body or outside the body? Okay, so and that's what they're gonna try to answer the whole article. In order to answer this, they're gonna use phenomenology as a way of thinking. Phenomenology is also a research method, but here researchers use it as a philosophy, as a way of thought. Okay? It started as a philosophy by a German philosopher called Edmund Husserl at the turn of the 20th century. And its fundamental principle is back to the things themselves. So he want to find out things through experience, gain access to things themselves. His starting point is the world is experienced in a subjective way. And the aim was to find out, to describe meaning of this subjective experience. But how? Through the eyes of the one that is experiencing it. The whole experience, the own experience. Okay, so this is a philosophy that had many different philosophers interpreting phenomenology, and one that was key was Maurice Merleau-Ponty, another key phenomenologist. He emphasized that the body lives in time and space. Taking one starting point in the life world, it becomes impossible to separate body and soul, mind and matter. Instead, they are closely interwoven in the world. Okay? He emphasized that the fact that nature's humankind is intersubjective and we exchange with each other. Yes, all the time in relationships relationships between human beings and the world and among human beings is indissoluble. So phenomenology is all about not having those barriers as this or that, as everything one phenomenon. Okay, so the prerequisite for learning is intersubjectivity, yeah, and intersubjective collaboration. And that's how we learn. And that's how we learn music, through exchanging, okay, to connecting, to interconnecting. Okay, but what is music learning in the first place? Yeah. Well, according to Alerby and Fern, learning music can be seen as an incorporation of the structures of music, such as pitch, rhythm, timbre, dynamics, and of course, it depends on genre, context, culture, for music to find different expressions. From our bodies being in the world, music is incorporated and given meaning through the body. This development of meaning, of knowledge for all kinds of learning contexts implies an intersubjective creation of meaning. So yeah, people's collective experiences. That's how we create meaning. In music, composing, listening, dancing. Yeah? So, in this collective connection, it is again important to stress the fact that human beings are bodily situated in the world. The body is part of all learning. It is via the body that we experience and internalize what is happening in the world around us. So they conclude, bodily experience is the foundation of learning. Foundation for learning. Okay? So, remember the vacuum. Yeah, of course we cannot learn music in a vacuum. Children have music outside. They come here in our music room and we're going to build on what they already have. Okay? Outside plus inside. Together. No split, no division. Okay? So, here they use the example of the blind man and the stick to show this kind of holistic view. So he uses the stick to find his way, to learn. Oh, he touches, the sound tells him that this is a sidewalk. Oh, a different sound is a different place. So he see where he can go. He sees no, but he learn where he can go through the stick. So is the stick a continuation of his body? So that's a good one. Does man learning take place within or outside? Remember, this is the main question that we want to find out. Is it the stick part of the body? Where is the boundaries? Is the skin the boundary? But what about those instruments, those external things that we use? Different types of artifacts that can instead extend a person's body and a person's ego, and thereby influence and be important for learning. Why not? So their view is where learning is constituted within or outside humans depends on how we view the boundaries of ego. Okay? And they use the piano to explain another concept called maximum grip that will be looked at in the review article. And it's a Merleau-Ponty's concept of the body. And the idea is that movement itself can motivate learning. And this has to do with kinesthetic learning. Swanwick, in turn, adds that music process should always be associated with music itself. It's what Norgard Nielsen calls situated learning. Eliot has a good example in his book about that, about the chess player. He doesn't learn by repeating a move over and over again. He learned it by solving real game problems in a real game situation. Same thing with music. Sometimes it's a written symbol, sometimes it's a body or a verbal sign, all used for communication and incorporation of music and its structures. So they close their article. It's a little bit of an anticlimax because they said, we regard the relation between human being and world as indissoluble. And so the question if learning music takes place inside or outside the body is unattainable. Not only that, it's also uninteresting. Not sure about that. Victor Funk's response. He agrees with most of their statement and follow along their rationale. According to Funk, they have to a great extent achieved their goal to explain music learning from a life world approach. And he makes a point that some questions are unanswered, but he agrees with bodily experience in the is the foundation of learning. He raised relevant points, and especially related to maximum grip, the Merleau-Ponty's concept. And he brings the piano example again. We know that pianists make the strings in the piano vibrate through a lever mechanism. These vibrations travel through the air and arrive at the audience's ears. When the vibration energies are transmitted as electrical energy in the audience nerve cells, the audience in turn may behave differently after such a complex transmission. Okay? He posed a question, is there an end for that extension of the pianist's body? If so, where should it end? Remember the stick? So same kind of thing. And he said, how can we validate the musician's ego? Very relevant. And he talks about a total context. Yeah, the total context, the cultural environment, the smell, the temperature, the people that are there, the listeners. Well, finally he agrees with the authors and conclude his response agreeing that it's unattainable to answer the question within or outside through a phenomenological inquiry. Although I follow his description of the pianist's extension, I'm not sure if I agree with his conclusion or the way that he decided to agree with them. Even so, he argumented a little bit differently, especially being a phenomenological inquirer. If there is no dualism, then there is no separation between body and mind, or body and soul, or me and you. If learning is emotional and cognitive, and learning is collective, and we are all one with the world around us and with others, then I'm obliged to say that learning takes place within the body and outside the body. It is all one phenomenon. Somehow, it made me think about John Cage and his conceptual pieces. 433 and chance operations. According to phenomenology, there shouldn't be no inside or outside. There is no pianist and audience. We are all musicers and listeners. It is all sound or silence.